Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on my 2006 Chevy Avalanche, and we're going to be tackling the project of dropping the headliner down and replacing the headliner with some new charcoal gray suede headliner. So that is what I'm going to be tackling today, and I wanted to go ahead and bring you guys along, kind of document the whole process. So if this is something that you're looking to do, hopefully it helps. In total, I think for everything that I've spent with the fabric and the actual glue that's going to be used, I think I was underneath $100 or right at $100. So it's not that bad at all. I did call around some places to see how much it would cost if I was to take them the truck and let them try to tackle this. And the price I was getting was anywhere between, $250 all the way up to $350. And that's with me dropping the headliner down myself and taking it to them. So, it's not that bad. Actually, $250 was the lowest I got, but save myself a couple $100 and do it myself. And this is a project that I want to try to tackle. So let's see how this goes. So this is the current condition of the headliner. So again, like I said, this is a 2006 Chevy Avalanche. So the headliner has started to come down in a couple of places, as you can see over there, and does have some rips, even some right here, and a little bit here too on the sun visors. So this material here is tan, and I decided to go with a charcoal gray suede. So let me go ahead and show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so this is what that fabric looks like. So like I said, this is the suede fabric, and I picked this up, or actually I got this off of Amazon. I will put the link down in the description if you are interested. So the size I ended up going with is 60 inches wide, 8 feet long. So to tackle the headliner, I think all you really need for the headliner is probably 60 inches wide by 6 feet. That should be enough to have enough fabric to tackle the headliner. But as you guys can see, the sun visors are ripped up, and I want to go ahead and replace this with that suede fabric. So I have an additional 2 feet, which should be enough to get this done. All right, so the plan is to obviously drop the headliner. I'll have to remove a couple panels like these over here, and maybe a little bit of this. Now the front pillars, those are already off. Actually, they broke off a long time ago, so I don't have to worry about those. This stuff is pretty much easy to pull off. Essentially just kind of pull down on some of these panels and pillars, or pull out, and they're held in by clips. Once we have the headliner dropped, is to actually pull it out through this way. So the nice thing about this truck is that this window comes down, and this back piece right here folds down, and that is going to be more than enough space to just pull the headliner strip back out, instead of trying to get it out through one of the doors here. That's a plus, because I know, for example, like on the Silverados, or maybe like I don't know, maybe on the Tahoe it'd be a little bit easier, but like on the Silverado trucks, this doesn't drop. So you do have to pull it out through this through the doors, and you might have to bow the headliner ever so slightly, but in this case should be able just to pull it straight back. So once we get it out here, then I'll set it down on the table, start ripping off the old fabric, get the old glue or whatever it is off that's behind the fabric, get that cleaned up as best as possible before I put down the new fabric. Now for glue, this is what I ended up going with. I bought 3 cans. It might be, I don't know how much I'll actually need. I think 2 will be more than enough, but I bought a 3rd one just to be on the safe side. So this is Permatex heavy duty automotive headliner adhesive. Again, I bought these again off of Amazon. They were about $12 each. I'll let you guys know how much I end up using. All right, so let me go ahead and start getting this out. think that's loose enough where I think what we'll be able to do is just, once I have everything else disconnected, we could just probably pull the headliner this way. But I still need to get this one out. So here in this clip, I was trying to show that there's two plastic push pins, one on each side. And instead of trying to pry those out, I ended up just pulling down on this plastic panel and they both came out. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna work on trying to get off is that. I think all I gotta do is maybe pull this panel back, and then there's a couple of bolts that hold that handle in place. So once I have that handle out, it should give me enough room to essentially, you know, when it comes time, pull the headliner board down. Now, if you wanted to take this out completely, what you would have to do is take out these panels down here at the bottom. Let me go ahead and show you guys. You would just have to take these off, pop them up on both the back side and also on the front side. And then that should give you enough space to get this pillar out completely. But for the time being, yeah, I might go ahead and just do that and make it easier for me. All right, so that one's out. Do this one up front. All right, so that was pretty easy. I just ended up sticking my hands on each side and then pulling up. So my hand on this side, up here, and then pulling up with both hands. And doing the same thing back here, and then this should come right out. Yeah, it comes, and make sure once the bolts are out, pull straight that way. Don't pull down, pull straight out. You want to make sure you don't break these. And that's it. So next I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, same process. Now next up, let's try to get these grab handles out. Let's see. So I think on these, again, just using one of these trim removal tools. Just gonna stick it in here. I think this should just come right out. Might have to try a different one. Let's see. All right. Yep. These, whenever they get pushed in, that's what ends up ultimately holding the grab handle in place. All right, so I got these loose. And let's see, that as simple as pulling out. Yep, sure is. Let's pull out. All right, so next we're gonna work on taking out the sun visors. So with these, I think they're held in place by some torque screws. I don't know exactly which ones, which torque bit you need, but I have a bunch, so I'm just gonna go ahead and attach it to my screwdriver, take out 3 of them here, and then 1 of them here. And then that should allow me to at least get the sun visor out. And yeah, okay. So since these do have lights in them, there's more than likely gonna be an electrical connector somewhere in here that I'm gonna have to disconnect. And maybe probably the same thing on this side. All right, so let me go ahead and knock that out. Yep, I think this one will. I haven't taken this one out. I'm actually kind of let it help me out by holding up this part of the sun visor, and then I need to disconnect this. Okay, if you can see that there, that piece. So I'm gonna put my flat head on this side, this piece right here, and then pry up on this corner tab. And that should allow me to release these connectors. All right, so that did the trick. So The only thing I got to do next is go ahead and take out the torque screw holding this piece in place, and then repeat the process on that side. This dome light back here, so you're going to want to get like a flat head, or if you have a thin trim removal tool like this one, stick it in right here. There's a little groove. Okay, pry out. Okay, there we go. So that is going to release this tab. There's a tab, this plastic tab right here that actually holds this in place on this side. Then all you got to do is pull the dome light out this way. Again, so this is the driver's side, just for reference. And then now you have this completely out. Make sure you disconnect the connector, and that's it. All right, next we're going to be tackling this. Try to get this part out. There is one torque screw right up here, so I'm going to take that one out. There should be 2 clips on each side. We just go ahead and pull down, and this thing should come on out. Let's go ahead and pull this out. Yep, there's one clip that released. Another clip. There we go. Now, there are going to be some connectors back here too that you have to disconnect. Grab the phone. All right, so 1, 2, one of them look like it's for the microphone, and the other ones look like they go to these lights. Okay, that one should be pretty easy to release. You just push on this side, and then on this one over here, same thing as for the sun visors. You just stick your flathead on this side, lift up, and then pull apart that connector. All right, so we got this front dome map light, or whatever you want to call it. We got that part out. So like I said, my A pillars were already out, but that's because they broke. I do need to fix them. So I'm sorry, I'm not showing that part. You would just grab the A pillar and pull out. Okay, and there are some tabs that kind of hold the A pillar towards the bottom. Just be very careful with it. Now up here too, you are gonna have to remove this part right here, this little piece that hides the wiring for the rear view mirror. So this is actually pretty easy to pop off. You just grab this top part, it slides down, and then that's it. So the last thing I need to do, I believe, to finally be able to drop this is to pull those, I guess, retaining clips or whatever they're called. Those 2. Again, I'm going to use my trim removal tool, something like this, to pry those out. And then after that, should be able just to pull this down. All right, so before I take this out, it might be a good time to go ahead and fold this down. So that way, whenever the headliner comes down, I can just pull straight out. So, all right. Hey, little guy. All right, I won't have to take that out. Probably remove this, so that way it's easier for me to pull out. All right, got that one out. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling down from the front and work my way back. And like I said, it's because ultimately I feel like I'm gonna have to pull the headliner board a little bit this way and down and out. Something else to note, there is wiring that is glued to the top of the headliner board. We will have to get the wiring off the headliner board, and then that's pretty much it. All right, so from here, you can get a better visual of how the wiring is laid out and glued to the top of the headliner board. So there's wiring that runs all the way across, goes all the way to the other side where the passenger side sun visor would be at. There's wiring that goes here to the rear view mirror. And then wiring that goes here to the back. Oh, that wasn't even connected. I don't know what that's for. But anyways, there's wiring that goes there to the rear dome light, and I think it stops and ends there. All right. Well, this wiring is actually easier to pull up. Let's take one. So let me just go around the other side, finish pulling up, and then that's usually it. That's what you're gonna do. All right, so there it is. We got the headliner board out, but it honestly was not that hard. It's a little time consuming, I will say that, but just take your time. You know, if you especially want to tackle this project yourself, it's not that hard in my opinion to take this off and take it out the truck, especially with these, because you can just drop down that part right there, fold the seats over, take out the glass, take this off, and then pull it straight out. So hopefully that helps you guys. So I'm gonna take a little break, but essentially the next step is gonna be to pull this old fabric off. You can see some of the old foam right there. I need to get that off and try to clean up the headliner board as much as possible before laying down the new fabric. So stick around and keep on watching. All right, so if you were wondering if you can move the truck with the headliner out, absolutely. You can turn it on, move it out. That's what I did. As you guys had seen, the truck was halfway in the garage whenever I was working on it, just so I could be out of the sun. But now that the headliner board is out, I went ahead and pulled the truck back out, and then I put my car back in. This is my baby, so this one needs to stay in the garage. So anyways, the truck's sitting out there. And once I have the fabric installed, glued down, cut up, you know, the whole 9 yards, I will go ahead, just like how I was set up before, pull this car back out, put the truck back in, and then just pretty much slide the headliner board back in place and put it back up. So that is the plan. All right, so let's start ripping this off. So this is probably gonna make a big mess. I should probably set my phone down and then pull it off. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this foam off. I'm using a wire brush for right now. Looks like it might take some time to actually get this off. Probably different ways of getting this off, but for right now, this is what I'm gonna end up going with. And I'll let you guys see what that looks like at the end and how long it took me. All right, so just a quick update. I pretty much got tired of using the hand wire brush. I ultimately ended up just using my power drill. Now, I ended up using this attachment, which is a wire wheel, and I've been able to do so much more and a lot faster with this compared to using the hand wire brush. So pretty much all this side, I was able to knock out in a couple minutes, versus this section probably took me like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes with the hand wire brush. So I did set it on the lowest setting, and that's what I've been using so far, and it seems to be doing the job. Obviously, whenever I'm doing it, I'm just not holding it in one place. I move it back and forth, and I try not to keep this in one single location for too long. All right, so it's the next day, and this is what the headliner board looks like now. Pretty much after I was done with this yesterday, I called it quits, and I was just decided I was gonna come back out the following day, which is today. So we're back out here in the garage. As you can see, most of the foam is now gone. What really helped out was this wire wheel with this drill. So that's my recommendation. If you have something like this, definitely use it. Just be careful. Like I said, I set it at the lowest setting, and I just consistently kept moving the wire wheel back and forth, never really leaving it in one single place for too long. You just want to make sure that you don't start to pick up any of these fibers. That happened in few places here and there, but very minimal. Maybe I picked up like one or two of these strands here, these fibers, but besides that, no problem. So this definitely sped up the process. Using the wire brush, it probably took me about 30 minutes just to get maybe like a quarter of the headliner board done, or at least with getting the foam removed. And then it took me maybe in another 30 minutes to get the rest of the headliner board done with this. So overall, I spent about maybe a little bit over an hour, getting the foam off. And thing else that did help out, I have this small little air compressor. So as I was finishing up sections, I would just use air to blow off some of that foam, just so I can get a better visual of what I still needed to tackle. There are still some pieces still lingering around, but honestly, I think this is as good as it's gonna get. I don't see this being a problem. I should be able just to use the glue or the adhesive and lay down the new headliner material. So I think that is what I'm gonna do next. All right, so as y'all can see, we have the new headliner, at least just laying down on the headliner board. And like I mentioned earlier, this is 60 inches wide by 8 feet long. So I have more than enough fabric. So you can see that's where the headliner board ends. So I have this much more fabric, which I bought on purpose. I bought it like this. I bought it 8 feet long because I wanted to have additional fabric that I could use to wrap the sun visors. So if we take a look on this side, yeah, I got a couple inches over here too. I think we're good. So what I'm gonna do for the moment is I'm just gonna cut off. I'll probably leave, yeah, like this much, like another 4 inches or so of material. And then I'm gonna cut this bottom part off and put it off to the side. That way it's easier to work with. All right, now another thing, also make sure that you have enough material, or try at least to lay the material down as evenly as possible. That way you have the same amount of extra material on each side. So over here, I got about maybe 2 inches. Same thing over here, 2 inches. So I think this is okay. Okay, so let me go ahead and cut this extra part off. All right, so I think we're ready to start gluing this down. My plan is to glue this half first and then swing back and glue the other side. So more than likely what I'll do is I'll fold this fabric over, spray the glue down, and then lay down the fabric. Okay, now I did get some glue on my glove, so I don't want to get that on the headliner material. So something to keep in mind, and probably something that I should have done, but when laying down the fabric, it probably would have been best if I would have started patting down from the middle outward. Luckily, I didn't end up with any extra material bunched up in the center, but I think if I would have done that, that for sure would have probably avoid running into that. So it does look like I accidentally got some glue on my hand and I left the spot right there. I'll see if I can get that out. I don't know if I'll be able to, but we'll see. Yeah, so make sure your hands are clean. I'm gonna go ahead and get a microfiber cloth towel. And this is kind of what I'll use to press down on the fabric over here. Try to work on this side now. Flip this side over. So I did end up using one entire can for this side. I don't know, maybe you guys think it's too much. I think it was about right, maybe. But that's why I bought 3 cans. And the adhesive or the glue didn't actually seep through the foam. So I think it's fine. So more than likely, I'll probably end up using an entire can over here as well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it around. That way I can see the last part that I have left. All right, so this is all that I have left. Now towards these corners, right here, I started to notice that the material was starting to bunch up. So I lifted up and then I was able to grab this corner and pull out, pretty much stretching the material and then slowly working it in. I was able to get through that spot. So let's finish off this last part right here. And then what I'll do is I'll have to clean the table before I lay the headliner board back down, but I have to flip it over. That way we can finish tackling the edges. Introduce another cut just because it seems like I have some material here that wants to bunch up. All right, so I think we're done. At least slowing the headliner down to the board on this side. I'm just gonna go over it one more time with the microfiber cloth towel, just trying to push down pretty much everywhere. Pick back up over here, so introduce some cuts right here, right around this side, and then just slowly work my way all the way around. All right, so instead of trying to clean the table and there be a possibility of there still being an adhesive getting on the headliner, I just went ahead and just laid down these tablecloths. There's the disposal one, a couple dollars that I had laying around in the house. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the headliner board back down. The reason I'm doing this, like I said, because I can introduce these cuts and go ahead and glue them down and not worry about getting the glue on the other side. Alright. So, I already have some cuts right here, so I'm going to go ahead and start gluing those down. All right guys, so here is the finished product, at least on the back side. I still need to cut some holes, but for, you know, trying to wrap some of the material over the edges, this is how it turned out. I will say towards the front here, I cut it a little bit too short before I glued it down. That was my mistake. But at least I still have some material that's wrapping around the edges and coming over to this side. And it does seem like it has actually glued down. The rest of it, this is how it turned out. Now, does it look nice on this side? Absolutely not. hopefully you guys do a way better job than me. But the important thing here is just having a little bit of material that wraps around and the other side looking the best. All right, so there it is. It's ready to go back in the truck. So the edges aren't as nice. I would have liked them to have been, but for the most part, that stuff is gonna get covered up. You're really not gonna see that. So I'm not too worried about it as long as it looks good here in the center. So like I said, I did have to come back and introduce some cuts. There's a cut right there, a little hole, another one right there. And then the ones for the dome light, and then the front dome map light, whatever. And then for the sun visors here and here. All right, so overall, I think it went pretty much how I expected it to go. Not too bad for my first time, but overall, yeah, not too bad. So I'm gonna go ahead, wait for this to dry, and then put it back in the truck. And then later on, I'll work on the sun visor. So I'm not gonna show you guys how to put the headliner back in the truck, pretty much just reverse the process. Now that I'm done with the headliner board, I'm gonna start working on the sun visors. I already did one. Now I didn't record the process or how it went, just simply because I was a little bit more hesitant and I didn't really know if it was actually gonna go that well. But overall, it wasn't that bad. There were some things that I learned that I'm gonna do a little bit different whenever I'm gonna wrap this one. Such as making sure that you leave extra material. I would say probably, you know, half an inch. That way you have enough material whenever you go to tuck it in on the sides. So ultimately what happens is you take off the old fabric. You even take this piece out, and I'll show you how I did that. And you can also remove this mirror. So once you get that out of the way, take off the old fabric, clean it up, and then we can start the process with gluing down the new one and also tucking it in on the sides here. Well, I just realized I wasn't recording, but good thing I didn't get too far. All I've done so far is ripped up the material and try to remove it from the sun visor. That material is going to be tucked here as well. So essentially, as you're pulling off the material, make sure to get it out of here, out of this groove. Now, regarding the mirror here, essentially the way that this comes out, let me go ahead and put it back in. That way I can show you guys how I got this out. This mirror is held in by a couple of tabs. So all you really want to do is just pull up or stick your pry bar tool, you know, try to lift it and get it to release. So there's 3 tabs, one right here, another one in the middle, and then one on the other side. So again, just stick this in here, and okay, once the bottom part is released, there's like this metal tab back here too. Let's see, kind of play with it and see if you can get it out. What you can do is just, I guess, maybe pull down from one side and then pull out from the other side, and then that seems to do it. The other thing that we're gonna have to remove is this over here. Now this is held in by a needle pin. So we need to use like a very, very thin flathead, something thinner than this, to try to back out that pin down this way. So essentially the pin will come out this way, and once you get the pin all the way out, then this part right here should be able to come off easily, and you can finish getting the rest of the material off. But no matter what, this needs to come off, so that way whenever we lay down the new fabric, we can tuck it in here and you know, try to make it look as factory as possible. All right, so I got my very thin flathead, and let's see, I don't know if y'all be able to see it, but in there is a metal pin. What I'm gonna try to do is use this to back out that pin. Also, if you have some of these hook or pick tools, this might come in handy here. Let's see. I'll try to use this one to finish. I want to at least be able to push that pin out all the way up to, you know, somewhere around here. I should be able to pull this up and then release this plastic part. And then after, all I should see is that metal pin, and then continue pulling it out. All right, so I can't see it there anymore. So that should tell me that that pin is probably right around here. Now I'm able to move this. Okay, now I'm gonna pull up on this. By me pulling up on this, I am gonna bend that pin, but I'm just gonna bend it a little bit, not a lot. Okay. All right. Okay, so I got this piece off. Now the pin is fully exposed. Okay, so my goal is to continue backing it out and pull it out completely from this side. That's it. The gap here on this groove is pretty tight, so maybe using a flathead to try to, get it pried open a little bit would help. Okay, so now we got the old material off. I'm just gonna clean up and then I should be ready to apply the new fabric. Okay, so I'm ready to start gluing down the new fabric to the sun visor. And I made sure I have enough material so that way it's easy for me to tuck it in. So roughly about, half an inch is the bare minimum. What I would say is you need a half around the edges. Okay, and I think I'm good here. I need to cut a slit here. I think it's just better if I just show y'all how I did it. Okay, so here I'm just making sure to get the adhesive on the plastic part of the sun visor and not on the material. I don't want to get any of that adhesive on the material because then it'll start sticking on me because I'm going to come back around and cut it. All right, so I got all the extra material trimmed up. So this is what it looks like. I still need to trim a little bit of over here, but I'll worry about that whenever I get to it. So I'm ready to start tucking in the material. Yeah, you just want to make sure you have enough because if you don't, then it could potentially come out over time. All right, so from here on, I just need to start tucking in the material. So here I am using the flathead screwdriver and alternating with the trim removal tool. So ultimately you want to use something that's thin, but the wider the better to help you tuck in the material. I would not recommend using a flathead screwdriver like I did here, just simply because you run the risk of it accidentally cutting the material. If you can find something that has rounded corners, the better. So like a putty knife or something like that with rounded corners. I think something like that would work really good. All right, so tucking this part in was honestly the hardest part. I got some material in there. I introduced some relief cuts. I don't think this is something that you're really going to be seeing most of the time. All right, so let's go ahead and start putting this back in. Okay, so I guess that pushed out some of the material I had tucked in, so I'm just gonna try to push that back in real quick. Hopefully you guys have better luck than me, but okay. And let's go ahead and try to get this back in there. Alright, so it's still sticking out just a smidge. So this is kind of the hard part too, trying to get that piece back in. Alright. Okay, cool. I was able to use this to push it down further in there. Okay. Yep, that's holding that in place now. Okay, so it's good there. Alright. Next up, we gotta cut the hole right here to put the mirror back in. You can kind of see where the mirror goes, so I'm just gonna introduce a cut here and there. Just be careful if you're using a blade not to go too deep, because you will probably cut the wiring for the lights. So here I did end up cutting a little too close. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, so here I ended up cutting way too close to the edge, so that's my fault. Yeah, man, this would have been perfect if I wouldn't have cut all the way to the edge. Shoot. Oh well. Yeah, it's a bummer. All right, so here's my finished product. Overall, I honestly think this was a little bit more harder than the actual headliner. I guess for me, the difficult part was tucking the material here. And you know, I have a cut right here that you can obviously see the foam. I did a better job on that over here, but you know, there are some wrinkles right there, but at least you can't see the foam. And over here, I tried introducing some relief cuts, and maybe I cut too deep, but I don't know. Anyways, for the most part, that's gonna be hidden, so I'm not too worried about it. This is my first time ever doing it, and you know, for my first time, I don't think it's that bad. I don't know, you guys might think it's bad, but yeah. So overall, I'm content with this. If I ever have a problem, or if for some reason I end up not liking it, I can always just take this off and order some more material and redo it. So at the end of the day, this was a project I wanted to tackle, and I'm content with what I've done so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in the truck and then show y'all the finished product. All right, guys, so here is the finished product with everything back in. I even ended up fixing the A-pillars. Like I said, whenever I first started pulling on the headliner, I didn't have these A-pillars, but I got that fixed up and they're back in now. So this is what it looks like. This is the charcoal gray headliner Suede. I really like how it came out. I didn't want to go with black, and I didn't want to go with like a tan color. I wanted to go, you know, something dark. So this charcoal gray, in my opinion, worked out, especially because throughout the truck, there's gray pieces everywhere, except for, you know, the factory pieces that came tan. I'm not even worried about that. I'm not even going to try to spray those. I'm going to leave it as is, but yeah. Let me come back here. Yeah, so overall, I think I did a pretty good job, especially for my first time. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think. honestly, I kind of felt like what the hardest part was probably doing the sun visors. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and hopefully this helps y'all out.